who don't prevent their kids from joining or who help them skirt age verification requirements. The bill is controversial because while many agree social media negatively affects children's mental health, there are concerns such a prohibition would be unconstitutional. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis openly criticized the bill for not allowing parents to choose whether their kids can use social media. It is unknown if he'll sign it into law. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
AT&T says the outage to its cell phone network was not caused by a cyber attack, blaming the outage on a coding error while it was expanding its network yesterday. Another U.S. airline increases charges for checked bags.
United Airlines is jumping on the $40 checked bag bandwagon, joining rivals that have increased fees this year. United is hiking the charge to check luggage by $5 for U.S. flights and will now be charging $40 to check a bag at the airport, or $35 if paid in advance. A second bag will cost $50 at the airport or $45 in advance. It's the first time United has raised baggage fees since 2020. Earlier this week, American Airlines made a similar move, while Alaska Airlines and JetBlue Airways have also upped fees for checked luggage this year. Carriers have said that higher charges help them offset expenses like fuel and labor that have sharply risen in recent years.
Fox's Hillary Barsky, a watch that melted during the 1945 bombing of Hiroshima, Japan, has sold at auction for more than $31,000. The watch is frozen at the moment of the detonation of the bomb, 8:15 a.m. Boston-based RR Auction says a small brass tone watch offers a glimpse into the immense destruction of bombing. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Hello, everyone. This is Lawrence Sutton, and this is Free Speech News, where we are not politically correct, but biblically correct.
That's correct.
And two things you don't discuss, and that's politics and religion. That never stops us, does it, Chris?
No, it hadn't yet. So glad to see you again this evening, Lawrence. Want to give a shout out to the sponsor, Todd Warner.
Yep. Absolutely. Shout out to Todd Warner. And we have a very, very special guest in studio with us. We got Sheriff John Myers.
Look out.
I got the double very.
You got very.
I got the very,
That's
very.
right.
Very, very.
Not just very. I got the very, very.
Are you going to go for the triple?
I will.
Okay.
I tell everybody I know around, I said we got the best sheriff in Tennessee, bar none, not even close.
Well, he had one that was pretty close, but he hung it up due to his health. Murray Blackwelder was a good sheriff over in Lincoln County.
He was a good sheriff. I had the privilege of getting to know him some before he threw in the towel.
He was a good one. I put him as equal with John because he, when all that BLM crap was going on, he put out on his Lincoln County Sheriff's page, "Don't come over here and mess with our statues."
That's right.
He was very, and you made some statement back then. I can't remember
what it was. I've made so many of them since all that started years ago. I'm not as vocal as maybe some other sheriffs are. Some sheriffs are more vocal. Some sheriffs across the state are quiet as church mice. I'm probably about halfway
in between.
I've learned sometimes it's better to bite your lip and not say anything, and then sometimes it's better to say it all. So
I thought maybe he's fixing to say God gave him 2 ears to do a whole lot more listening, 1 mouth to do less talking.
That's what my dad always told me. My dad always said, "Boy, God gave you 1 mouth and 2 ears for a reason."
That's true.
That's a little bit nicer than the way my dad said, "If you'll shut up and listen, you'll learn more."
There you go.
Well, we're glad to have you in the house. So,
well, thank you.
I hear you've been on a little trip, my friend.
I was fortunate enough to get invited this year on a trip to the border. If you go back a couple of years ago, Senator Haggerty and some of his team and some DAs and mayors and sheriffs from across the state went down and visited it. But I wasn't on that round table. I'm on that round table now. It's like a law enforcement round table, and me and some other sheriffs and people get together and kind of help the upper echelon of government in this state with some of their decision making. And it's good that they rely on us for some advice and stuff. But anyway, so I didn't get the invite year before last, but I got it last year, and they had to cancel it and I can't remember why, but they had it scheduled in August of last year. And I got contacted about a month, 6 weeks ago by Mike Sullivan, who works out of Senator Haggerty's office, and he said, "Hey, we're gonna do this in February if you can go." And I said, "Well, I'll go. Put me down." So so we went down to Eagle Pass, where all
The big.
what is it, Shelby Park, I think, or
Yeah,
park
Shelby
down there.
Park. Yeah, Shelby Park.
You're correct.
That's where we stayed for the biggest amount of time down there. Now, we went and visited some other people, but so when we got there, I mean, it was a run and gun operation. I mean, it was what I call a turn and burn. I mean, we were down there. We trucked out in SUVs from the San Antonio airport, went straight down to a little county. Well, I say a little country county. 1,400 square miles is this guy's county. So he's a little over twice the size of my
Lawrence.
county.
And Lawrence County is second biggest
Well,
county. isn't it?
no. Wayne is the second biggest county. Shelby is the biggest.
Okay.
Giles and Lawrence are pretty close. They're like 8th and 9th.
Okay.
Something
I
like
think we're
that.
620.
And we're 609.
Square miles. This county is 1,400, and he's got 6 deputies.
Wow, just 6 deputies.
6 deputies. Now, he doesn't have a very big population normally.
Normally, on a normal day.
Normally, before this policy went into effect with this administration we got in the White House, and now he's overrun. Now he went into detail about all the problems it's causing him with this catch and release policy that they have in effect down there. And the gotaways, that was another big topic of discussion, the gotaways. You get different numbers on the gotaways, different estimates. But anyway, he was talking about the problems it's caused for him financially. His little courthouse, we went up in his courthouse, he said, we used to have court 1 day a month, and there might be 10 people in the courtroom. Now we have it every week, and there's 50 to 60 people in the courtroom. They're charging the II, the IIs is what everybody called them down there, the illegal immigrants. They would catch these IIs coming across somebody's yard, breaking into people's cars, bumming money. He said, and if I'm jumping around, I'm trying to remember all this stuff that this guy told me. He said years ago, he said if a small group of immigrants came through the town, they would be trying to mow grass, be trying to wash cars, be trying to pressure wash, trim your hedge bushes, trying to do something so you could give them some food.
Right.
Now they come in and they're stealing.
Just begging.
They're
or
looking,
stealing.
they're begging and they're stealing. Is the difference, because they have this mentality now that stuff's owed to them now that they've gotten into the country.
Oh, they must be Democrats.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. You know, the crazy part about it is, and these are some of the stats that I've seen, is that in order to get over the border, they're having to use the cartels, and the cartels are charging them anywhere between $6,000 to $15,000 a person to get into the country. Most of them are actually flying into Mexico and then going up through the border.
From China, most definitely.
Well,
they sure ain't swimming across the Atlantic or the Pacific.
That is correct. So, but even a lot of the people that are coming in from the South America, and even that are actually coming in from South America, they're being driven up, or they're flying up into Mexico.
And here's something that I didn't know. Doesn't matter where you come from, what your home country is.
Right.
If you get caught coming across that border, you're treated the same.
That's right.
So if you're not, and you don't even have to be on the terrorist watch list. You can be. There could be a group of 20 military-age males from Syria or from Iran or from Libya or somewhere, and they come across. All they have to do is what the other immigrants are saying. They're seeking asylum, and they cut them loose.
I hope people are listening to this and
I
hearing
hope they
this.
are too, because I didn't know. I learned so much down there. and this isn't just coming from Border Patrol. This is coming from everybody involved in that effort down there at Shelby Park. You have the Texas National Guard. You have Texas Highway Patrol, State Police. You have Texas Game and Fish. They're involved.
Yes, they are. Yep.
With their boats, patrolling the Rio Grande, recovering bodies. That's what they mostly do is save people and recover bodies because they're recovering bodies down there.
Well, I thought the Biden administration was wanting to cut down the wires because they were letting people drown and die down there. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know. But so you have all these people down there involved in this effort, and I really expected the majority of them to be tight-lipped about the situation down there, because when we were getting briefed before we left, we were being told, don't really ask any in-depth questions because you don't want to kind of push some of these younger guys in a corner and make them have to say something, that they don't want to because they don't want to get fired. They don't want it to go up the chain,
right,
and then get in trouble for saying something. But man, they were vocal, and everybody down there involved in that effort would tell you they have never seen the border like this before. They have never seen the encounters that they're having with immigrants. They've never seen the problems that it's caused. They've never seen. Everybody down there agreed, and it didn't matter if you was a National Guardsman or if you was a state police or if you was a county sheriff. Everybody. I thought I turned that off.
So it's not like the last 3 years is really when this has happened. Before then, you'd have a lot of families. But everything I'm hearing is we're getting a lot of military-age men that are coming in. I'm going to tell you what was funny. I had a meme that was sent to me, and I say it's funny because it's meant to be funny, but it really isn't. It's got a guy in his bed in a hotel room, and he says, "Hi, I'd like a wake-up call." And the front desk says, well, military-age males that entered the country illegally since Biden took office now outnumber the military 6-1. There's your wake-up call.
That is such a huge number.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I can totally believe that. That may or may not be true. I don't know, but I would dare to say that those numbers aren't far off just because of the amount of people that's coming across that border.
Right.
Now you have to remember that this whole seeking asylum idea, before the Biden administration took over and did away with all the restrictions and everything that they had in place on that border, if you came across the border and you got caught, say for example, you got your wife and your kids and the cartels got you to the Rio Grande and you're trying to get into the country and you get caught, and you say, well, I'm seeking asylum. All right, that then 3, 4, 5 years ago consisted of you sitting down with an investigator asking you in detail why you were being politically persecuted or whatever, or who it was, and they would get statements. There would be an investigation to your claims.
Right.
And if the claims made sense and they believed you, then you might get a court date and have to appear back in front of a judge and get assigned an attorney and go through the process of doing that. Now, the cartels don't even have to get you into the country. They just got to get you to the border and kick you out, because everybody knows now when you get caught, and you're going to get caught because you want to get caught.
You want to get caught.
Cartels are telling them, get caught.
Yeah.
And tell them you're seeking asylum. Now, the process takes like 3 minutes. They ask you a couple of questions. You sign off on something, fingerprint you, photograph you. I don't know if they get DNA from you or not. And they ship you somewhere. Give you a cell phone, give you some cash, give you some clothes if you need it. And here's the kicker. It's so backed up. That court system is so backed up. Guess how far off the court dates are?
I heard
3
8.
years.
No, I heard
3
8
years.
to 11 years.
Is it that?
2032.
2032. Oh, God.
I heard 8 to 11 years is what I've been hearing.
They let you come into the country. They reassign you somewhere to probably some metropolitan city somewhere, some Democrat city, and they send you there, and they say, all right, just be back in court in 2032 on this date. Like anybody's going to show up in court.
No.
Like who is going to come back all the way down to Texas and appear 8 years later, 10 years later, Nobody's going to do that.
Well, the reason I
It's the
said
biggest forest I've ever seen.
I said 3 years is I had 3 Hondurans to show up, and they're looking for work. You know, I need to see a 994. I need to see a work visa. They said they don't have it. They're here illegally. Okay, I can't hire you. You're here illegally. They said it was going to take, and their interpreter did, at least 3 years to get them a work visa. So that's why I said the 3 years. But you know, they're here. They're right here amongst us now. And you know, this last group they sent 600 up somewhere in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, up to Franklin
and they
area.
were saying they were sending them to Franklin and Murfreesboro area.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised they didn't get dropped out in Columbia and Lawrenceburg and Pulaski.
I mean,
We have a plan.
Oh, I want to hear this.
Well, I can't go in detail, but we do have a contingency plan in place if a big number of illegals are attempted to be dropped off.
I
in this
know.
county.
Is that the thing that David Morgan's been talking about?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
And you're right. Maybe not get in. We don't want to give all the secrets away.
No. But it's for the listeners. We have a plan.
Well, I just want the listeners to know that how
Now, is that just your county, or does that involve my neighboring county?
just our county.
Your county.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Our
I didn't
county
know if y'all
here.
were working
This
in
is
unisys.
No, I'm going to tell you that's why I tell everybody we are so blessed to have the leadership that we do in this county.
That's great.
I mean, and how much I think of him, and even David Morgan. I think the world of David Morgan too.
Getting back to when we arrived. Like I said, the first place we went was this Kinney County sheriff, and visited with him, and took a quick tour of his area down there. And then we wound up at
Eagle Pass.
Eagle Pass, and so when you're driving in, the first thing you see is this huge Mexican flag, huge. I mean, it's bigger than the one down at Story and Lee.
Oh, you're talking about on U.S. soil.
No. That's what it looks like. So when you're about to get to the gate, of course they've got National Guardsmen working the gate. They're checking everybody's ID, so not anybody can just get in there. So when you're coming in, you're thinking, is that a Mexican flag on our side? Well, it's not. It's on the other side, but it's huge. You can't miss it. But once you get down in there, and then you see all of and I've got probably 500 pictures on my phone. I wish we could get it to where we can put some of the images
It's
up on
coming.
here so
We're
we can
getting
show
that
the
room.
listeners. But so all through this park is containers, shipping containers, stacked one on top of each, stacked end to end, nose to tip, all the way around the banks, and then they've got the razor wire up and down through there. The guardsmen are on constant patrol. Like I said, you've got one boat ramp down there, and there's constant traffic in and out of that boat ramp, where it's either the fish and game are going down in there with their what's the boats with the propeller?
Airjet.
The air boats.
Yeah.
Running up and down it. And we was fortunate enough to sit around and talk to some of them. They've got a tent set up where their command post is set up, and we got to go in there and talk to the colonel that's over the National Guard down there, and he gave us a really good briefing on what they're doing, how they're doing it. Very well organized. I mean, it's good stuff. But like I said, just talking to these guys, they didn't really hold much back, you know. They told you like it was, that it's sad that it's to the point now that everybody on the south side of that border knows that all they have to do is make it across, and they know they're in America. I mean, you can say for good, but at least for the foreseeable future, for 8 years, I mean, if they can make it across that water, they're golden.
Right.
So they're bringing, and I saw the Rio Grande. Rio Grande ain't but about neck deep. But it was rolling. I mean, it was rolling. And there's no way anybody could have got across when we were there. Now, I guess they add water to it, maybe somewhere upstream, because they talk about how it goes up and down. I don't know if there's a dam or something up that way. But while we were there, it was rolling. And there's no way somebody could have made it. But they're still trying, because they know under these policies, under this administration, all they got to do is get across. They don't even have to get across. If they can get almost, because the Rio Grande's neutral.
Right.
And my question to one of the, I think it was to the colonel down there, I said, so why can't you take them back? I mean, if they're in trouble and you see them in trouble and you go out there and you rescue them, why can't you take them to the other side instead of our side? He said, because I can't, because we can't.
Because of the administration.
Yeah, it's definitely because of administration. I mean, the administration, even now, and people need to understand this. They keep talking about Biden's come out and said, well, if they'll just get me a bill, then I'll stop them from crossing the border.
That's the biggest.
It's the biggest lie. But in order for me to get this bill, I need 70 billion for your Ukraine. I need like 10 or 12 billion for Israel. I need 16 billion for the border wall. But here's the thing with the border. They're not doing it to build a wall. They're not doing it to stop people from coming. They're doing it in order to hire more people to get the people processed. I mean, that money is all that 16 billion is to get the people processed. And it's such a lie that our media keeps portraying this.
Well, they opine, they spin everything.
Yeah. Just hang that up. We're not taking calls.
Something else that and it didn't take me long to realize what they're doing, and what the cartels do is they'll, and I'm being in the military and being in drug enforcement and everything that I've done in my career. I mean, people know I'm all into unconventional tactics, and I believe in applying a lot of military tactics to my job now, even though you got to kind of follow the rules and you got to do things by the book. But every now and then I still try to.
All right.
But what they'll do is they'll send, I mean, if they know that they've got a big load of methamphetamine that they need to get in, or a big load of fentanyl, they'll create a diversion by sending a half dozen, 12, 15 immigrants across this area, because they know that when they do, that's going to cause 15, 20, 25 law enforcement to catch them, to search them, to detain them, to take them, to process them. And that's going to open up this area so they can slide their contraband
Sneak on in
through their stuff. I mean, they know what they're doing, and they know that when an area is too hot, they go to another area, you know.
So let me ask you, this is a question that I've been wanting to ask you about, and I've had another person that had sent me this question, is what would happen here in Tennessee, or specifically with you, if you guys happen to arrest an illegal alien or an illegal immigrant? What would happen at that point?
Well, it would depend on what the arrest is for. Are you meaning if he's involved in some kind of a crime?
Correct. Yeah, a crime, yes.
It's going to depend on several things. It's going to depend on the seriousness of the crime, and I mean, if we caught somebody that was, say, attempted murder,
right,
or something like that, immigration may or may not get involved. Feds may or may not get involved. It just depends. I can imagine the judicial system is probably slam-packed right now with cases just like what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So it might even be left up to the local authorities and the state judicial system. I don't know. I go back to, and this was before 9/11. I don't know if I've told you all this story before, but if I did, I'm sorry. But I was working the interstate in Giles County for the task force, and I stopped just a regular cargo van. Like a work van, a cargo van, like a 3/4 ton cargo van. But I noticed it was almost sitting on the wheel wells when I went by. And I said, well, and it had Texas plates and Hispanic driving. I mean, I can't remember what I stopped them for, but I had a legal reason to stop them. And I'm up there talking to the driver, and I get him out, and he comes back to the rear of the vehicle, and his English is so-so. And I asked him, I said, so how many, do you have anybody else in the van with you? And he says, oh, yeah. And I said, how many people is in the van with you? And he says, 33. And I said, are you saying 33? He says,
Tres.
So we had the barn doors on the back. We swung the barn doors up, and it was literally to the ceiling
Packed.
with illegals that he had driven all the way across the border. Now, mind you, this was probably in 98 or 99.
Right.
And they knew the drill. I didn't have to say a word. They all got out, went right down the edge of the pavement, got down on their knees, put their hands behind their back, locked their fingers. I mean, I didn't have to tell them anything. And that's all that was in there.
Yeah.
Wasn't any drugs, any contraband, anything
These are
like
people that are actually trying to come to get a better life in this country.
Maybe, maybe not. But so I called immigration in Shelby County, and I was a little bit excited, at what I'd interdicted off the interstate. And I got a guy on the phone, and I said, hey, I've got a cargo van stopped, and I've got 33 illegals in the back of it. And he said, was they doing anything wrong? And I said, what do you mean? He said, are you going to have charges against them? And I said, I'm not going to have charges against them, but when you come into this country illegally, isn't that against the law?
Yeah.
And he said, if you don't have any charges on them, we're not interested. That was his exact word.
In
1998.
98 or 99.
In Giles County.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you this, and you're right, Chris, when you said if you don't think they're here, they are. But I want to interject on that since you mentioned right before 9/11. Christopher Wray, and you're probably familiar with this. Here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the sheriffs were invited to Washington, D.C. There was a big thing there in Washington, D.C.
Oh, you talking about Butler County, Ohio Sheriff?
Well, that was one, but I'm talking about the sheriffs. Were you able to go to that?
No, that was probably the National Sheriff's Association.
Yeah, it was the National Sheriff's Association. So here's a couple of things that came with this. Because the sheriffs were there, they wanted to talk. Their main thing they were there to talk about was the illegal aliens coming in, the illegal invasions. One, they could not get the president or the vice president, absolutely refused to meet with them. Matter of fact, you guys have a hierarchy in the sheriff's organization where you have your own president, your own vice president, and other things. They even refused to meet with the hierarchy even. To take it even a step further at that point, Christopher Wray, who is the head of the FBI director. The director of the FBI has said that there is more red flags going on in the U.S. than even 9/11. And that made me bring that up when John had said that about 9/11, that Christopher Wray is telling the sheriffs that there are more red flags going on in the U.S. right now than even 9/11. And he says he's even more worried because right now we are bombing actually 2 countries right now that already hate us. And guess what? This is Christopher Wray talking, head of the FBI. He says these people are already in this country, and we don't even know where they're at.
Well, I'll give you a prime example. I think since the first year up until last week, of Chinese nationalists that's come into this country, let's say 6 weeks, has been over 24,000. If that's not waking somebody up, you're never going to wake them up. And you sure ain't going to wake up that administration. But I hear they have training camps up in Idaho. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard, but nothing surprises me. Just some more numbers that I made a mental note of. Talking to one of the guys with the Border Patrol, he gave us a speech when we were eating dinner Tuesday night or Monday night. He said the whole time President Trump was in office, they had 95,000 illegals come across in that Eagle Pass area.
Right.
95,000.
Right.
Since Biden has been in office, it's 990,000.
Yeah.
990,000
You might as well
people.
say 1 million.
So they can sit there and say that this isn't on them. They can sit there and say that they didn't cause this problem. They can sit there and say all this BS and try to shove it in our face and tell us that it's not them, but it is. I mean, you got to be blind not to be able to see that they caused this problem. If you don't believe me, go down to Eagle Pass, go down to Shelby Park, go down there and talk to this rancher. We talked to this rancher. He's got a 55,000 acre ranch in Texas, little bitty ranch, 55,000 acres. He's a 7th generation farmer, cattle farmer on this ranch. This guy, and he's got, I forget how many miles he was from the border, wasn't that many. He's also got train tracks running right through the middle of his property. So he encounters a lot.
Right.
He's got a really expensive high fence, and it's tore down. It stays tore down. He spends more time, him and his hands, fixing fence so he can keep his cattle in, because the immigrants will just jump over it or cut it or do whatever, and they don't make any attempt. He said he said 6, 7, 8 years ago, he said you could tell where they would cross because they would butcher it up, and then they would actually fix it good enough to where the cows would stay in.
Right.
He says now they don't even do that. You know, they just plow through his fence. But listening to him, and like I said, this guy, he was born on his property, and his great-great-great-grandpa or whatever.
Like 7 or 8 generations.
7 generations.
Wow.
And he says they've never seen this many people coming across this property. Just listen to his stories. He's found dead people. He said he found 2 that was zip tied, had their hands zip tied behind their back. Both of them been popped in the back of the head. He's found kids.
They didn't pay.
That's cartel.
That's cartel.
Little kids left unattended. I mean, little kids, toddlers walking unattended, you know, that they found. He talked about the garbage, you know, that they have, because they bring backpacks with milk jugs and food and stuff, you know, and they just chunk. So he's got garbage all over his property now, so he has to spend time out of his day picking up garbage. He finds he said a common thing that they find is the Plan B, the empty boxes of Plan B that the little girls take with them because they know they're going to get raped on their way up, and so they take the Plan B so they're not pregnant when they get into America. He says boxes of them, empty boxes of them everywhere.
You know that I'm going to tell you something.
So
that just shows how
That's
evil. That just shows how evil our administration is, because they're allowing that to happen too.
between the dead bodies floating in the Rio Grande and all the little girls that are getting raped trying to get up through here that get separated from their family, you know, they can't. That blame's on them.
I know.
It goes all the way to the White House. They can try to sugarcoat it all they want, but it goes all the way to the White House.
As long as Biden's up there, that's an outhouse. He's turned it into an outhouse.
Sure it is.
You know, it's sad. It's so sad.
John, does immigration and custom enforcement, do they have any kind of a working relationship with you guys, these sheriffs in our state?
I haven't talked to one, and I can't remember when. I haven't.
You talking about ICE or?
I'm talking about any of them. Immigration, ICE. I haven't talked to any of them. I haven't had a reason to talk to them.
Right.
I don't know if I don't know when they restructured all that after 9/11. I don't know if it got moved. I don't know the structure of it now. A lot of the federal agencies all went under the blanket of Homeland Security, and I don't know how it's structured. But me, no, personally, I've never talked to anybody with customs. Not in years. But now, getting down there around the border, It's all one family. If you wear a badge and a gun, it doesn't matter if you're fish and game, a county sheriff, state police. I mean, it's like a brotherhood down there.
So,
I was very impressed at the way all those guys work together.
So you're talking about state and federal are both working together down there?
Oh yeah, I mean they're like brothers. And even the guard members. I mean, everybody is. I mean, you would see a couple of National Guard, maybe a couple of the patrol guys out there, because all they do is they help with the logistics, and they patrol and they report. The only time they're going to go hands-on or they're going to get involved in a retrieval or an arrest or something like that is if they're asked to right then, and there's there's a serious situation. The colonel told us, he said, now if we're assisting some of the BPS or some of the other people down there with some detainments or arrests.
BPS, what is that?
Border Patrol.
Border Patrols, okay.
So if they're involved with something like that and it gets out of control, then they're going to do what they have to do to protect lives. But as far as any policing operations or anything like that, they're there to observe and report and help with logistics. But you might see two National Guards guys over here with their military uniforms and their M1 rifles slung in their backpacks, talking to a couple of the state police in their khaki gray uniforms with their cowboy hats, just smoking and joking, cutting up. I mean, it's I was really impressed at how well everybody was working together. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody knows what their responsibilities are, and they're all right there for one effort,
So in other words, you're saying all of them have good camaraderie, get along and take care of each other, and they've got a plan of action, but they're limited on what they can do.
Yeah, everybody knows their job and their responsibility, but it's all one effort down there, and it doesn't matter if you're a federal employee or if you're a county sheriff.
Let me ask you this question. We watch, I've seen it on Fox News, One American News. These people, when they come across the border illegally and they got them lined up, hey, here's a group of Cubans, here's a group of Syrians, here's a group of Guatemalans, here's a group of people from Colombia, South America, here, they just got them scattered and they've got them in sections. How come they look so clean, like they've never come across the Rio Grande?
I already told you why. They're being flown in and they're being brought right up to the border by the cartels.
Yeah, but they got to cross that Rio Grande.
Not unless they go through legal port of entry. That's
right.
Something I was going to talk about.
Okay.
Right there at Shelby Park, you have two bridges coming in.
Yeah, you can walk over.
You have one for like commercial, and then you have one that's like passenger vehicles. And listening to the guys on the ground down there, that's the reason why they're doing what they're doing, is to keep people from trying to swim across that freaking Rio Grande where they're pulling bodies out every day, and force them to go up there on the catwalk and walk across in and then get detained.
Well, the ones that are trying to I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the ones that are trying to swim across, those are probably ones that probably have charges and have a criminal history, is it not?
Possibly. Because they all know now all they have to do is claim that they're seeking asylum.
Yeah.
And they're going to get in. It doesn't matter. And that's what they're trying to force them to do. Look, you're under our rules, we're not going to arrest you. We're going to keep you for a little while and cut you loose. Doesn't matter if you swim across or if you walk across that bridge, so you're better off to walk across that bridge.
So that's how come they look. That was my question. How come these folks don't look like they've been in the water?
Well, I'm going to tell you, a lot of the folks that I'm seeing are coming in with nice clothes, nice shoes, and look typically well fed.
Well, he just said they get a cell phone. Are they getting that $5,000 card at that time too?
To answer your question,
yeah.
If you're attempting to elude, if you're attempting to come in not through a legal port of entry, there's a reason why.
That's right.
It's either because you're on the terrorist watch list,
Yep.
or you've got a rap sheet back in Honduras or Guatemala or wherever you're coming from, and as soon as they punch your numbers into that
pop.
Interpol or whatever they look at, they're going to see
That's
that
exactly
you're there,
it.
and they know they're going to be detained, and they may have to go back home. That was a question I asked the Border Patrol guy that was talking to us at the restaurant. I said, so who's being detained? If anybody can come across and say they're seeking political asylum and they get cut loose, who's being detained? He said, not many.
No. So
And if you're on a terrorist watch list, if you're a really bad dude, or you get caught doing something like killing somebody else or something, you know, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. I have no idea why we're not just taking them back.
well,
It's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life.
I don't
why we
either.
have to keep them here.
I mean, we've gotten so many people through. Just talking about the Rio Grande in general. Rio Grande doesn't have alligators in it.
I don't think so.
I'd import some from Louisiana then and put some in. You want to stop them from swimming across?
We can go down here to Decatur and get a few.
I can tell you real quick, that'll stop it.
Lawrence, look at it like this. Until we fix the policies,
Absolutely.
people are still going to think that if they make it, they're going to come into our country and stay.
That's right.
Doesn't matter if you put alligators in a firing squad. They're going to try it because as long as they know that if I can get across there, I get to stay in America, they're going to keep coming. We got to get rid of that policy. That catch and release policy is the stupidest thing
That
I've
is
ever heard
that
in
is
my
the
life.
dumbest thing. But I'm going to tell you something. I mean, there's so many countries. I don't know of any country in the world that if you cross over their borders illegally, that they either A, don't arrest you, B, send you back, or C, kill you. I just don't know. I mean, but not us. You come over here, you're going to live better than what a lot of our veterans are living. I mean, look at all the people, look at all our veterans that are homeless right now. Look at all the people that are on Social Security and been on Social Security for 20 years, and they're only getting $1,000 a month on their Social Security, but yet these people can cross over here illegally and get $2,000 a month.
Right. Well, you heard. Well, wait a minute. You heard John say they pop them with a cell phone.
Oh yeah.
But is that when they get that $5,000 debit card?
I don't know.
I think it's a $5,000 card.
Yeah, but they're getting $2,000 a month too, on top of it.
I don't know for sure. I had mixed. I had varying stories about what was given to them.
Right.
Once they say, okay, we're going to cut you loose. We're going to send you to this city. This is your court date. Make sure you're back here in 8 years to answer for this. And I don't know what all they get. I heard a prepaid debit card. I heard a cell phone. I heard some clothes and some provisions, some hygiene products and stuff, and then they sent. But I meant to tell you this when I was talking about that rancher when we were actually out there at his fence, and I mean it took us 30 minutes drive time down these dirt roads to get back here on this guy's property where he was at. I was beginning.
That's how big the ranch is.
That's how. Yes, like I said, it's 55,000 acres. So, and we're back there, and the cameras are out, and we're talking to him, and he's explaining some of the stuff that he's seen and that he's witnessed, and he looks and he says, "Oh yeah," he said, "You see that blue strobe light over there?" And everybody kind of turns around and looks, and he says, "Yeah." He said, "You see it?" Yeah. He said, "The immigrants know that if they can make it to that strobe light, they got food, water, and it's a charging station for their batteries or for their cell phones." So not only are we enabling them by telling them, "Come to America, say you're seeking asylum, and we'll cut you loose."
We're helping them.
If you decide not to come through a legal port of entry and you try not to get caught because chances are you're a felon or you're dirty or you're a terrorist. We'll help you navigate your way across this rough terrain, because I'm telling you guys, that's some of the roughest terrain I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's got to be Rattlesnake City in the warmer months. It's nothing but briars and cactuses, and it hadn't looked like it rained in 20 years down there. I mean, it's just hot.
Almost like a desert, yeah.
And so not only are we making all these promises and telling these people that this is what will happen, if you decide to come in illegally and not go through a legal port of entry and you try not to get caught, we're going to help you navigate through this property so you can charge your phone and contact your people and stop and get something to drink, smoke a cigarette, and get something to eat.
Charge your phone.
So
And our tax dollars are paying for that.
Oh yeah, our tax dollars are also paying for them to come up here too, because the UN is giving them money in order to help get them to Mexico, and guess who funds the UN? We do. I mean, we're paying these people to even come to take the trip even. So, I mean, they're getting paid to take the trip. Then when they get here, they get paid.
Well,
that's a pretty darn good gig.
Let me interject something that makes, of course, you served in the military. Mm-hmm. You think about all the people you know, and there's folks that's down on their luck.
You darn straight there is.
Having hard times. And there's veterans out there that's homeless.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's where I'm going with this. We will kick people out of hotels to house these freaking illegals. And the government and this is what makes me sick. I don't know. People were trying to find out in the Mount Juliet area, Murfreesboro area, what hotel is housing these illegals that may have been sent to Tennessee, because the federal government's paying for it.
Right.
And we've got people out there. We got hotel proprietors that will take that money from the federal government in a heartbeat for these illegals.
And they're probably paying them twice the amount that they would typically
for
get.
A daily room rate. Yes.
I would guarantee they're paying twice the amount.
So, but we do not take care of our veterans who sacrificed for us, for our freedoms. It's sad.
It is sad. So I
got a major question before we run out of time.
Okay, well I may be asking it even.
Uh-oh.
So I have a statement. Then I want your opinion on this, John. So you got the Butler County, Ohio Sheriff. His name is Richard Jones. Mm-hmm. He has put out there that we are absolutely under an invasion, and he said that even Christopher Wray used those words to them as the sheriffs, that we're under an invasion.
Because Christopher Wray spoke to him.
That's correct. So he has gone back and he has started a citizens response force. Because back in 1956, and here's the funny part, in the U.S. Constitution, and I'm talking about the Second Amendment, we have a militia that shall be well regulated. Well, going back to 1956, the federal government actually outlawed that use of having a militia being trained and everything in this country. Then Tennessee went in 2010, and they took up on that law that said that you cannot have a militia either, according to Tennessee, unless it is the Tennessee State Defense Force. Well, here's the problem with the Tennessee State Defense Force. They're unarmed. You can't be armed in the Tennessee State Defense Force.
Well, that is crazy. That's ludicrous.
It is absolutely ludicrous. So, John, here's my question. And I kind of know this, but
he's coming out with the knife.
Yeah.
He's got that look. Hey, Brandon Taylor, I hope you're watching. He's got that look.
But see, I already know really the answer to this question. But again, this is a softball question, but I want the people to know how good of a sheriff they have. Have you not already have that in place already as in here in Lawrence County, where you are bringing citizens and you're training them and helping them and showing them how the sheriff works?
Sure, and I'll tell you this about me being able to deputize citizens, which I can still do that.
Yes.
Now, I can't just do it when I want to, how I want to, why I want to. But, for example, when the governor declared a state of emergency during COVID, that changes a lot of the rules, even with small-town Tennessee.
The dynamics.
So,
what about under martial law if that ever happened?
Yeah, I think so. I just have to be able to articulate why.
You deputized.
Why I deputized, and I've got some extra badges.
I know we've discussed that before, John. You didn't order those after Biden got selected. Did you notice I didn't say elected? Selected.
I've got a few, couple, but yeah. So and I love knowing that I have such a good base and so much support out there in the community that if I needed to, I could. One Facebook post, and I said, I need people's help. I need you to arm yourselves, and I need you to come to the sheriff's office and get deputized if you can pass a background check.
You know you'd have to call me, though.
You know I
don't have Facebook.
I would have them lined up to Cyclone Corner.
You would.
That's how much faith I have in this community and how I trust the people in this community.
Well,
they would step up in a heartbeat.
And how people trust you, though.
Volunteers.
And how people trust you, though. You don't have anything like that in Giles County, do you?
Not that I know of.
No, if he did, you would know
I would know it, but not to my knowledge. And you taking any recruits from Giles County?
I don't know.
Hang on. Doesn't he still owe you like $8 from like 20 years ago?
Well, it's got a lot of compounding interest on it right now. You remember what we're talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
When I had to give you $8 to get out of the parking garage when we were in federal court.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
So there you go. That may buy you a badge.
I'll get you lunch.
But that was funny. He started blowing the horn. I done went through, and at that time, the DA didn't send him up with any money. We were up there, and that morning I was telling Lawrence what was so funny. You and I were meeting at the old way station at mile marker 49 on 65. And I'm sitting there, and I'm saying, gosh, man, he's late. Come on. He don't realize if we get up there in Judge Higgins, federal Judge Higgins' court, Thomas Higgins, I think he's deceased now.
Yeah, he did.
I said, gosh, we're going to be in trouble. I think we kind of broke every law in the book getting up the interstate, didn't we?
I think we did.
We let it roll, didn't we?
What year was that?
That was in 2000, wasn't it?
2000.
99, no.
It was 02.
02. It was 02.
Yeah, the adult board
The
had
adult,
counties.
yeah.
I guarantee you, John paid you back. You just probably forgot.
Well, listen, it was a lot of fun. But were you in the court? Was that the day you was in the courtroom when Judge Higgins said, "I want a demonstration on this bumping and grinding"?
Yes, yeah. I was the one testifying.
You was on the stand. You was on the stand.
What'd you have to do? Did you have to go give Chris a lap dance?
They sent me into one of the go-go, I call it a go-go club, one of the go-go clubs.
I bet you hated that, didn't you?
Gave me a $100 bill, told me to go in, hang out with the girls. They said, make sure you get a lap dance and just take mental notes of the whole thing because you're going to testify in court. So that's what I did. So you fast forward.
Oh, that's a hard job. Oh, that was a hard job.
You fast forward.
Literally hard job.
A month down the road, and I'm sitting in front of the federal judge up there, and this DA is having a blast with this line of questions he's asking me. He's asking me how she got on my lap, and I mean it was some of the funniest stuff. And I'm trying not to laugh. The judge is trying not to laugh.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Except for the women representing the go-go club.
Right.
They're not. They don't think it's funny.
They don't think it's funny. Yeah.
But anyway,
your wife probably didn't think it was funny either.
I don't think
did
I
you?
ever told her.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
but hey, listen. The worst thing is to give. You had a guy that had $50, went into one of the places, and then he was supposed to be out, and report, and you're looking, and he was supposed to be out. We gave him 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, 40 minutes turned in over an hour. And he said,
he has some extra money
all
put
I had
aside.
to do was slip another 50.
Yeah.
And I said, that ain't the way this works. That ain't the way, that was funny, but I won't ever forget that. John, on a serious note, I really appreciate your help back then because you did a great job.
Well, I appreciate it.
And I'm glad that we had people like you that could help out. But on a serious note, something that's been in my crawl for a long time. And you and I first started talking about Hickman County, Tennessee, Centerville, to be exact.
Oh, yeah.
And then, our story got picked up by another guy that has carried this where the FBI shows up at 7 a.m. at a guy's house in Centerville, bangs on the door, and arrests him right there.
He drags his mama out.
No.
Oh, that's a different one?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait a minute. In Centerville, and he's got 12 children. This is Paul Vaughn.
Yes, Paul Vaughn, yes.
And brings him out, and they arrest him for peacefully praying at an abortion clinic in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and they used the FACE Act, and I think the FACE Act first went in under the Clinton administration.
1994.
Okay, under the Clinton administration,
Yes.
another Democrat. So, fast forward that happened in 21. In August of 23, FBI shows up in Chester County over in Henderson, and they dragged the mother out. That's where you were going with that. And they kept asking why. She said, what's going on? The answer she still got, and this as of a month ago, was it's none of your business. And
then they shot and
killed her son that was honorably discharged from the Army. Now, if that happened in Lawrence County, Tennessee,
John would arrest him.
would you arrest those FBI agents?
Well, let me first start out by saying we have a couple of field agents in this area, FBI field agents, and we've got a good working relationship with the field agents. I can't vouch for anything above his head.
Right.
But the boots on the ground guys, we get along with and we do a good job with. I would like to think that the FBI, based on that relationship that we have with them, would pay me a courtesy and let me know what they were doing before they come into my county.
But by law, don't they have to, though, John? Have to inform you and the district attorney?
That's
That can be distorted.
Okay. That's what the definition of is?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would like to think.
that's your good field agent right there.
Yeah.
And he would.
But they would they would let us know if they had some kind of an operation or was making some kind of a high profile arrest. If they didn't, then we'd have a problem.
Right.
And I don't want to sit here and talk about what ifs.
What ifs, that's correct.
But I would hate to think that another agency came into my county, the county that I represent, the county that I'm sheriff of, and did something like that, period, let alone getting with me first.
Right.
You just don't do that in this line of work. I mean, if I come to Giles County to serve a warrant, I'm going to let Giles County know, hey, I'm not asking permission. I've got a warrant. If you guys want to come help, it might be
We'd
fun.
love to have you.
It might be fun. If they want to have some fun, this
Yeah.
guy's been known to run, so come join the fun. But we're going to go over and pick him up, Same thing if another sheriff or somebody else comes over into this county. So, I mean, I don't want to talk about what ifs, but I just hope something like that ever happens because it'll probably be an international incident.
We're down. This is the sad part about this. We could go for 3 hours. We're down to 30 seconds.
Well, let me say this about
Yes.
the border. It confirmed what I already suspected. I already suspected that it was wide open because drugs are pouring into our county like every other county in every other state. Not only are we telling these people just make it to the border, you'll get accepted.
This is WDXE, W287AA, and W237FD Lawrenceburg. Broadcast services of Prospect Communications.
Country if they need that, so you got
What
this
leaps
whole
out at me
trifecta
is-
right here that tells everybody
This is
all you
the
gotta
Rich
do
Eisen Show.
You're not going to like it, but the call on the ice was correct. No goal.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
You got the Jordan rules. They're calling out from now on. As long as I'm
Well,
here,
I'm gonna
Patrick
tell you something.
Mahomes.
It's not just senile
Elbows,
old man,
killing
it's the
them,
people
you
that's
touch them,
around
in the
us.
head, mentally, physically, emotionally.
John's making the
This is part of the reason why
We'll
he's the coach
appreciate
right now.
everything you do.
Today's
I'll
guest
be
is
talking about it
NFL
again
Network
next
insider
next
Tom
Wednesday. Well,
Pelissero,
Thursday,
co-host
we're gonna
of Six
pre-record
Trophies
Wednesday on my
podcast.
next
week. Love to
Jason
have you back with
Concepcion,
us, too.
Academy
Yeah.
Award nominated
I'll need an
actor
invite.
Jeffrey
And we'll
Wright.
get-
And
you're
now,
invited anytime you want to
it's
come. I've already told you
Rich
that.
Eisen.
Our number one
We're gonna give a
of
shout out
our
to State
Friday
Representative
show
Thompson
is on the air. In other
If you've ever
words,
met him,
it's the
I
start.
wanna give a shout
Welcome
out
to this
to
edition of the Rich
WDXE.
Eisen Show.
Really
844-204-RICH is the number to dial.
appreciate your time as well,
Hey, we're
John.
coming up on 10
Thank
years.
you.
I'm
God
trying to
bless
find out
everyone.
different ways to
God
start the
bless
show every
everybody. God bless.
You know what I'm saying? Sang that kind of?
I
You're
don't
like,
know.